Hi, thank you for watching tonight. This show is called Meditation with Amitabh, and it is the first show, and as such, I wish to explain what it will be about. Basically, what I would like you to do is send in questions. At the end of the show will be an email address. You can email me your questions, and I will answer those questions on the air with a Buddhist perspective or with the Dharma, okay? So now, as we begin tonight, I would like to do several things. I have a list of questions here, but also I would like to meditate for a moment. And for those of you that are unfamiliar with meditation, I'll explain what we would like you to do. When we meditate, we think many things. It's natural for us to be thinking. It's natural for us to have thoughts that rise. When these thoughts rise, we tend to follow them. We call this thinking. Now, as this takes place, we become lost in thought. When we go to meditate, the first thing that happens is it can be peaceful experience for us, and for some of us, it can be the only peaceful experience that we have for days, or perhaps all day long, or perhaps for a year. So now, when this peace strikes us, we sit quietly and we watch our breathing, and we breathe in and out. So I will first lead us on a bit of breathing, and then we'll meditate, but only for 1 minute, since this show is only 28 minutes long, and we don't want to spend the whole time meditating, so I can answer these questions. Now, when we see these thoughts, when we're meditating, we will see ourselves thinking. When we see ourselves thinking, I want you to say to yourself, oh, I'm thinking, and come back to a neutral space. So thoughts rise, we occasionally see them, and we see that we're thinking. It's not important what we're thinking about, it's that we see the thought that we're thinking, and then we drop it or let go of it and come back to a neutral place. Meditation in the beginning can be a struggle. It's a struggle with ourselves about finding this balance. Slowly but surely, we learn to find a neutral space, or what we in Buddhism call emptiness. So slowly but surely, we begin to find that. So first, I would like to lead us in breathing 3 breaths, and then I'll bring the tingshas, and we will meditate for 1 minute, and then I'll bring them back, and then we'll answer questions. So let's begin. Inhale slowly. Exhale slowly. Inhale normally. Exhale. Inhale quickly. Exhale. Now that we've set the stage for being peaceful, I would like to talk about the Dharma a little bit. The Dharma is the knowledge of Buddha's knowledge. The Dharma is very big and it's very old. It's 2,500 years old. I'm a practitioner of mahamudra. It's Tibetan Buddhism. But you are welcome to practice any particular type of Buddhism that you like. The Dalai Lama says that Buddhism is Buddhism and a culture. So if you are Japanese, then you practice Japanese Zen, Chinese Zen, and so forth. Now, but at the root of all Buddhism is the same. So these questions that I will respond to will be I will answer them in a way of Mahamudra, in the teachings of Mahamudra, which are basically, if we could put it this way, we could say that we are mind and that we are concerned with mind and emptiness. In mind, we wish to see how the mind functions in Mahamudra and to begin to look at it for possibly the first time in our life. When we meditate and we hear ourselves thinking, eventually, this could be the very first time in our life that we have ever allowed ourselves to really clearly see ourselves thinking and to see what we think about. And the more we meditate, we could be very surprised about what we think about, what we find ourselves thinking about. Now, what we think about is not really important. The fact is that we are thinking, or in Mahamudra terminology, thoughts are rising. So thoughts are always rising. Our mind is clear, but thoughts rise within it. And as such, we follow those thoughts. This can get us into trouble. The Buddha concerns itself with suffering. Buddha's said that if you follow my path, you will be relieved of suffering. All human beings suffer, all life suffers. Now, this is not physical pain or physical suffering. This is suffering that we become angry, we become despondent, we become anxious, we become greedy, jealous, hating others, hatred, and self-hatred. All of these things are what we call suffering. And as such, we wish to attempt to do something about this. Now, so I have this a group of questions here tonight, and I would like to begin answering. What I'll do is I'll just read them off. I'll read them off as written. And please, if you would like to send in questions that you think are important for you in your life, then please send them in. There'll be an email at the end of the show, and you can send them to that email address. The email address is East 7th Street Sangha at gmail.com. Okay. So the very first question is, with my new job, I have to give a lot of presentations. I find it very intimidating, and I always get really nervous. I don't want to have to take anti-anxiety medication before meetings. Is there another way to not get so freaked out? Well, I think we can do several things here. First, we can calm ourselves before we go to work in the morning, and we can begin a meditation practice and meditate before we go to work in the morning. Of course, once we walk out the door, we may lose a lot of that, but we will begin this. What's so important about a meditation practice is that even if you can only meditate for 2 minutes a day, 10 minutes a day, 20 minutes a day, 40 minutes a day, then what's important there is we're coming back and we're touching this place of meditation on a daily basis. This can help us a great deal. If we learn to see our thoughts during meditation and to let go of them as we come back to our normal life, our normal everyday life that we go through, we can see other thoughts that we have during the day. So once we become familiar enough with meditation, we will then become familiar with what's going on in our mind, and during the day we'll begin to see ourselves having thoughts. We'll say to ourselves, oh, I'm thinking about that. I didn't know that I was thinking about that. I didn't know that I thought about that. So now that we see that we're thinking about it, slowly but surely with a meditation practice, we can begin to let go of these thoughts, because these thoughts that we think during the day day are really not important. I know your boss will tell you that they're important, and as far as your boss is concerned and you making a living at your job, they are important. But these other thoughts that we think, the things that we obsess about, these are not very important things. These are temporary things that are flowing through our mind, and as such, do not deserve for us to pay a lot of attention to them. What we need to pay attention to more is our sense of well-being, our sense of peace in this world. So now this question, this is a person who has a new job, and they get nervous about presentations, and they have to give a lot of presentations. And I'm sure this can be nerve-wracking, but why is it nerve-wracking? It's nerve-wracking basically because we feel that we're going to be judged, and as such, we don't measure up, or we won't measure up. So there's several things going on there. One is that we feel that we'll be judged. Well, now, in a Buddhist practice, we see all people as the same. We don't see some people as more than others. We don't see the things that we see with our eyes. These are distinctions that we make. These are distinctions that aren't really there. The things that we hear with our ears, these are more distinctions that we make. Again, these are distinctions that aren't really there. There are distinctions that occur to us as phenomena, but they are not really there. What's really there is a life. If we look at another person, this is a life. This life has a birth, and it passes away. And what happens during that period of time is what we call the person. Their relationships, their things that they do, whether the society values the things that they do or not. If there are certain people that society values a lot. If society values you, then you get your obit in the New York Times when you pass away. But if it doesn't, then no one ever hears of you. So we can look at this and we can think that this is value, but this in fact is not value at all. What this is dualism. We see another and we judge another. We see something with our eyes, we judge it immediately. We see something with hear something with our ears, we judge it immediately. We hear music that we like, and then we hear another kind of music and we say to ourselves, oh no, turn that off, I don't like that. Well, all music is the same. In Buddhism, it is said that all sound is mantra. So all sound is the same. It is we who make that difference. It is we who say that one thing is more than another. We spend our life dividing things into good and bad. I'll say that again. We spend our life dividing things into good and bad, and not really seeing the reality of the situation. Nothing is good and nothing is bad. All things are just one more thing. So now to come back to this question. This individual is giving presentations and becoming intimidated and nervous and feeling judged. But if they have a Buddhist practice, and I hope they do, then they look at this situation and they think, what am I doing? I'm seeing certain people as more powerful than myself. I'm seeing certain people as different than myself, when in fact they're not different than you. They are the same as you. They live a life just like you. If it appears to you that they're different, then you're being dualistic. And I would ask you to look at that and to continue to tune into the show and continue to hear this dialogue and why dualism causes us to suffer. Now, I think also one thing in a practical way that you can do is you can discuss this situation with yourself, and you might even be able to do this during meditation. So if you say to yourself, oh no, I have to give another presentation today, I know the way that guy looks at me, you know, he sits there, he's so judgmental, he likes it, he doesn't like it, he never likes anything, he never likes anything that I do, that kind of thing, then I think, you know, we want to really look at that and say, you know, this isn't really there, and it doesn't really matter if he likes what we do or not do. You know, it's a temporary thought to him. He sits in the meeting, perhaps the boss sits in the meeting, and you know, feels that he must, to maintain control, be moody or dislike something. Have certain people that he traditionally likes or traditionally does not like, that sort of thing. And yet this is dualistic, and we want to see through this, okay? So it doesn't make any difference how these other people in the room are responding. It is about us and how we are responding. So, okay, so let's just go to the next question. I wake up in the middle of the night with a million thoughts going through my head. I can't seem to get them to stop, and I can't get back to sleep. Is there something that I can do to make the middle of the night barrage of thoughts stop? Well, that's a good question. I think that can happen to all of us, maybe before a big trip or a big event. Some sort of a big social occasion, if we're giving a party, even if we're about to get married or something like that. I imagine you can't sleep the night before. And what we can say about that is that this is anxiety. So we want to call this anxiety. And there are several answers here. Certainly a meditation practice can help you a great deal, and will help you a great deal. It will help you because you will be able to see that these actual anxious thoughts that you're having are thoughts that you're following. And if you're following these thoughts, you can let them go. So if you're training yourself during your meditation practice to let go of these thoughts that you keep thinking, then you can let go of this anxiety during the middle of the night as well. It may continue to come back, but you can continue to let go of it. Eventually you can let go of it and fall asleep. Now, many people think that their thoughts are very valuable. Many people think that their thoughts will make them famous, make them rich, make them popular, that many people think that their thoughts are right, that there is a rightness about their point of view, and this is what creates wars. This is what creates various fighting amongst people. This is what creates hostility, is that we have an idea that things are right. But what is behind that idea that things are right? What is behind that idea is justification. We feel that we must push out from ourselves and justify, our beliefs, our thoughts. Now, we must understand that when we are talking about thoughts in the middle of the night and an inability to sleep, and it's more than that, I can tell from this question. It's really, annoying and anxiety producing, the very fact that we toss and turn all night. And I think, one thing we have to understand, we have to have a sense of humor about, is that thoughts rise in our mind, and they're going to rise in our mind. If thoughts stop rising in our mind, we're no longer here. So it is human to have thoughts rise in our mind. And thoughts constantly rise in our mind. It doesn't mean that they're valuable. It doesn't mean that we have to pay attention to them. Certainly some thoughts are valuable in terms of problem solving or that sort of thing, which we may occasionally have. But we don't have many problem solving thoughts during the day. Mostly we repeat the things that we think. Mostly we obsess about things, and we have anxiety. And those thoughts that we have during the day are anxiety thoughts or work thoughts. Work thoughts we have to have. Now, so what I would say to this person is then, basically, if you can't follow, or if you can't do what I've just talked about, then just simply give in to it and get up and don't even try to go to sleep. Get up and work on the computer, or read a book or something, and just give in to it. Eventually you'll become tired. And eventually you will see that these thoughts that you have that were so important that kept you awake are really temporary thoughts, and they have no existence other than at that very moment when you're thinking them. Now the next question is, my dad passed away recently. It's really hard. I feel like I'm either always really angry or really sad. I imagine it will lessen a little over time, but how do I get through this right now? Well, the thing that I can tell you is that grief is very important to experience as a human being. All creatures experience grief in some form or another, and we're always amazed when a dog stays by its master after its master has passed away, or there's like stories like that, or elephants that stay around the corpse of another elephant for weeks at a time. And we find these of great interest that other creatures think the same way. Grief is an important emotion, an emotional thought. We're going to miss that person. They're no longer here, and we're going to miss them. If we love them, and especially if we have unconditional love for them, we can let go of them if we have unconditional love for them. If we have conditional love for them, maybe there were things unresolved that we wanted to talk to them about that would have made our grief easier to handle. Sometimes, even when we expect a person to pass away, when they pass away, it's still a shock. So we have to comprehend the true nature of events here. The true nature of events is that this is life. This is an aspect of life. People are born and people pass away. Now, I'd like to take this time to talk a little bit about life. Life is a temporary thing. We tend to think that on a day-to-day basis, emotionally, that life has a permanence to it. But life, in fact, is quite temporary. And some people's lives are more temporary than others. Some people live to be 113. I read about some woman the other day being 113 years old. Now, that's a very long life, but nonetheless, her life is temporary. So our lives that we experience then are temporary. But we live in a culture that feels that this is a great tragedy, and this is a misunderstanding. In Buddhism, this would be a misunderstanding. In Buddhism, our life is temporary, but so when we pass away, it's also temporary. So that we call this the bardo. And in Buddhism, we are born again and again into cyclic rebirth. Now, so we can say then that life is temporary, but also passing away is temporary. And this gives us a very different perspective on what is really going on here in this life that we're living. It's not about what we can gain financially. It's not about the things that we are attracted to, that we must possess, the ideas about who we are and who we think we are. It's about working on something much bigger than that. It's about working on something else. Now, we can say that we have had many lifetimes, and if our life is always temporary, in every one of these lifetimes it's temporary, and then we enter the bardo, that's temporary, and then we are reborn again into cyclic rebirth. This is very important to begin to comprehend. Just comprehending this alone can change your complete outlook in this life that you're living. The life that you're living is the life in which you have an opportunity to become enlightened. Few will take this opportunity because few will see this life to be a temporary vehicle replaced by another temporary vehicle. So this is very important to begin to comprehend this. And in this short show, I really don't have time tonight to go deeper into it, but I wanted to begin to discuss it. And these questions are a wonderful way to discuss it. So I think, I've begun to answer some of these. I have many really great questions here, and not enough time to answer them. So, I would sincerely appreciate if you have questions that you would like to send in. There will be an email address or a phone number at the end of the show, and you can send in your questions to that. Don't call them in. You know, if you have other things you want to talk about, if you need more information or something, use that to call. Don't call your questions, and please write them in. It's easier for me to deal with them that way. And I would like to thank you very much for watching tonight. This show will be on every other week, and we have great hopes for it. And you know, we're really looking forward to coming to the next show, doing the next show. So every other Wednesday, 10 o'clock. And may tonight's words reside in your hearts. So I have just another minute here. And it's too bad because I have a lot of questions here which are really great. And one especially good about karma. And the karma question is great. I mean, people wonder why karma is now or in future lifetimes. That's because our life is very long, and we can live 10,000 lifetimes, and yet we believe we only live this one lifetime. So, thanks very much for watching, and I will just begin to meditate. Thank you.